As foretold by the prophecy, it's time for another Roll for Crit podcast, the official podcast for rollforcrit.com. Watch, shop, play. I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes, and as the prophecy also foretold, there will be much news of gamedom told in stone and grain.
Oh, so foretold.
Yep, it's all been said. It'll all happen before, and it'll all happen again. There's been a lot going on this past week. The GAMA show took place, a big convention where a ton of news came out. So a bunch of the things we're going to talk about today came from that. Some things did not. So we're going to get right to it, not waste any time like we usually do. We're going to start with probably the most important thing of all, though, which is they finally revealed the winners of the Monopoly token voting contest.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
really contest.
And also, as I guessed, T-Rex.
And I believe I guessed T-Rex.
I meant like I wanted, I guess.
Okay,
Sorry, not guessed. When I say guessed, voted.
T-Rex.
When I say guessed, I mean voted.
You were a little, you didn't think it was going to make it in, I remember.
I didn't, but that's the one I wanted.
You underestimated how much people like dinosaurs still, I think.
I guess I did.
Well, we got the T-Rex, the penguin, and the rubber duck. The three that are no longer in there are the boot, the wheelbarrow, and, sad to say, the thimble. The thimble is no more. Rest in peace. I mean, it's a tragedy in my opinion. I don't know how much longer these old versions you'll be able to find on the shelves. But then there's also the anniversary one that comes with all of them. I don't know. Why a rubber duck and a penguin, though?
Why not?
I mean, compared to all the other ones. Like, I understand people voting for a T-Rex, but like, do people love penguins?
Yeah, I'd say penguins are pretty popular.
And rubber ducks?
It's funny.
I guess. I mean, I'm just glad that
maybe
hashtags and emojis didn't make it in.
Yeah. There could have been just like one group of people that just decided to push hard for one of them.
Is it because of Club Penguin? I could see that.
I think penguins in general, they're just silly animals.
All right. I hate them. I personally think they should all be destroyed.
John is not a fan of birds that can't fly.
I mean, just why? What's the point? If you have wings, get in the air. All right, but anyway, that's enough about Monopoly. That's just a little side story, really. The meat of the show, this was a huge, very exciting, I think, for both of us, especially. Wizards of the Coast announced D&D Beyond, which is their brand new digital companion service for Dungeons & Dragons. They have said it will include the following things: a rules compendium, a character builder, digital character sheets, and more. It goes into beta, if you're watching this when it's released today. And we both signed up for that beta. We haven't tried it yet. It's not available, but it will be very interesting. This is something that I know you specifically, I think, on this show said you would love to.
Right. I mentioned it for Pathfinder mostly because that one's already so far. Because like I would be willing to pay for them, but part of me is like sort of because I'm trying to make a whole campaign for my other group. And it's like, well, if I want to do Pathfinder or D&D, it's like, but if one person wants to be this class, that's in this book. But if they want to be this class, but there's actually upgrades from this book, so I gotta it's sort of.
There's a lot of back and forth research you have to do.
I would be perfectly fine paying for the book and just having like a Wikipedia in essence was my idea, sort of just like if I could look up gunslinger and show up everything involving the gunslinger kind of deal.
And that's what it sounds like this is for D&D.
Which is still good because, it's almost even better because they're just starting now. So it's not like I have to jump and get 100 books. It's like you can sort of do the slow build, but still be like, I've seen everything now with the Ranger. And we also, I know a little bit more about D&D, not Pathfinder, but they also have their, Unearthed Arcana, which might be attached in this too. Like it might be like, here's some Unearthed Arcana for this class. You can maybe then jump straight to those. So if you didn't know that there was a special thing for the Ranger, for example, or like one for like large battles, they could have links to them in there too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a great way to, anytime they add new stuff, to have it conveniently placed so you don't have to go looking around for it. I mean, there have been for a while unofficial digital things like this, but to have one coming right from Wizards of the Coast, so you know it's going to have all the resources that you need for the current edition, I think that's just super nice.
Also, a good chance that won't get, if Wizards finds out and forces it to close through a lawsuit.
Right, that's not going to happen. They haven't said anything anything about pricing, so I don't know. They didn't even say if you're gonna have to pay for it. I didn't even think about that. But I mean, presumably you would, because they sell their books.
And like I said, I would be perfectly fine paying a price probably maybe a little bit closer, not exact and it's not physical, but close to it, because I'm still getting all the info and stuff.
Well, what would you think if it was like a monthly service, like $5 a month or something, or $10 a month?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on the monthly service price and how the program worked and stuff.
Yeah.
Like if I could save things and like almost like a Roll20 kind of thing, then yeah, like I can't really say until I see all the features.
Yeah.
When it comes to a monthly service, I gotta know how much is in there.
I'm hoping it is really all encompassing, because right now, if, like for our game, I have on my phone like a spell app, and I also have like an initiative app and an item app, and I'm kind of like going through them all.
No, exactly.
It'd be great to have it all in one spot.
And I mean, the character creation would be nice too, to just type things in, so you could have our sheets there.
Yeah, keep track of your, inspiration points, all that stuff. It would be really good.
I know the one drawback to this kind of thing, and I understand it, and it's definitely, this is more for, I'd say, definitely more advanced players, is the idea is, for example, I listened to a podcast and they released their own little special PDFs of like an alchemist build and like a redo of the barbarian class, like to try to make it more interesting or balanced and stuff.
Custom stuff.
Yeah, and like that's a little bit harder if it's all digital, which I think that's a completely understandable thing, and that's why I'm still think this might be, see how this works as a tool. And it might not be great for using for this, because you want to be able to mix and match. Like you made a monster in our campaign.
Right. It'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great if you actually could input your own stuff.
I mean, if you can, I just would I hope it doesn't force you to have to take your entire campaign through it. Like a book, you don't take it through. You just read it and then put it out.
More of a resource than a strict guidelines. Yeah. Well, as we said, the beta is like around right now. I don't know exactly if everyone's going to be able to get into it or if it's a limited thing, but look for it. See what you think. If you get to try it out, let us know how you feel about it, and we'll definitely be following up hopefully soon with our actual hands-on impressions of the thing. As I said, lots of big games were announced recently, so we're going to run through a bunch of them somewhat briefly, but there were some really cool ones that I thought. We got from Bezier Games a brand new King Ludwig game, The Palace of Mad King Ludwig. This is a standalone sequel, not an expansion. It sounds basically similar idea. Everyone's competing to be the best builder or architect, but this time, instead of each person having their own castle, you're all building one palace together and putting the rooms where you want them together. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a cool idea. I like it because you can be more it's almost like, it's less of just like you're building your own thing and you can sort of hate draft. It's, you can more build and think like, oh, but if I build it there, I'm opening up a pathway because you're trying to build. I mean, it depends how the game works. And I like that almost, because then it's almost more enjoyable too to see at the end. You see whatever weird amalgamation you made, this weird castle, and then you'll just look at it and be like, so that's why those dungeons in all the video games look like that. It's just a bunch of people competing and building a thing together.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You could use that as a template for your next RPG campaign as a dungeon.
Like I was saying, it would be hilarious if they did this with Suburbia, and like everyone's like, no, don't. I was gonna build an airport there. Guess what? There's a school there now.
I mean, it sounds like the perfect solution for people who, if they think Suburbia and King Ludwig are too solo driven.
Right, you mentioned that.
Yeah, which is something where, you are kind of doing your own thing. Like you said, the hate drafting is really the most you can kind of do to interact with each other. But so to actually have to crisscross with each other in the game space sounds really cool. I think it's they said retail $60 later this year sometime. We'll find that out. Next up, the hits get bigger. Cool Mini or Not announced a Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game. So non-Fantasy Flight, non-TV show, based on the books, miniatures game that's going to be on Kickstarter, of course, with Cool Mini nowadays, later this year. And the starter set, I think they showed a picture. It was, it's two different houses, but presumably, I don't know if the Kickstarter will have more at launch or if they're going to add them as time goes on. Or both.
I mean, yeah, and they're almost is a very large guarantee there will be exclusives. I've seen their things. They do that a lot.
It's so big miniatures game. They said large scale wars with hundreds of miniatures or simple skirmishes between a few units. So whatever fits your play style or budget. But this is kind of cool because of course we have lots of Game of Thrones games. but I don't think not like a real battle miniature game.
Well, and also judging by the title, it sounds like it's based not on the TV show.
It's strictly the books.
The books, so...
Yes.
I mean, that's another interesting take now with a lot of things, but I feel like Game of Thrones in particular has been a very, like, interesting compared to, like, not even like the Harry Potter and stuff. I feel like usually most of them seem to default a lot to the movie, but with Game of Thrones, because I think it had already such a presence in board games, I felt, that, like, even the LCG still uses the artwork, like...
Yeah, I think the LCG...
Like, they redid the artwork when they did the second edition, but...
Yeah, but it's still based on the books mostly.
Yeah, so I feel... I just find it very interesting on seeing the two compete. Like,
yeah, it is. I think the board game as well is from the books, even though it's called
Well, there's
Game
two,
of
I
Thrones.
think. I think there's...
Yeah, there's multiple. I mean...
And that's what's interesting. That's why I think it's interesting when you have to look at them. And maybe that's the Kickstarter exclusive will be the TV show version miniatures of the characters.
Yeah, that would be interesting. But... I wonder if they have the rights to that. I
don't know either. Yeah, that's one of those interesting properties.
If you're a miniatures person, I'm sure you'll be wanting to get that one. I'm sure it'll cost you a lot of money. Another licensed one next, Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Card Game.
Oh, it's been a while since we heard from him.
A little bit, yeah. It's based on the Scott Pilgrim comic book, which also, of course, was a movie and a video game. So this is the last medium for it to conquer. This is Renegade Game Studios is putting this out. It's a deck building game where everybody is playing different characters from Scott Pilgrim. And what sounds cool about it is they don't go to a ton of detail, but basically you're going to have double-sided cards, some of your cards. So you're going to actually be able to choose which side that you play somehow during the game as you're deck building.
Okay.
So I think it sounds like a fun, probably a good fit for a light game based on Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, I assume it's based on the original artwork style.
Yeah,
Because I know, because I saw the movie first. That's how I was introduced to it, and then them playing the game in the comic books.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's a lot more to this. Like.
Yeah.
So I definitely am very curious to see.
That should be a fun one. Yeah, that stuff's always fun. My phone's going haywire. Next up, this one is very interesting. Spectre Ops from Plaid Hat Games. We both really enjoyed that game.
Oh, yeah.
Stealth game. Well, they're making a new one set in the same universe, but a totally different playstyle. It's called Crossfire, and it's basically...
Is it still called Spectre Ops Crossfire? Is it just...
I think it's just Crossfire.
Okay.
It might say Spectre Ops in the box somewhere. But... it's more like a social deduction, werewolf, resistance, maybe even bang kind of game. Where you're all different people from different companies, and some people can be agents, and there's also assassins, and you're trying to assassinate different people, and there's lots of different roles. And basically after 3 minutes, and I'm just going to read paraphrase their description, every player has to aim their weapon at somebody and fire a shot. And if someone's the VIP, it's sort of like the king in Bang. Like if they're killed, then the game ends and the assassins win. Otherwise, the agents are trying to protect them.
Okay.
And you're trying to figure out who's who. You might also have your own unique victory conditions. They said there's going to be a bunch of different roles that you can mix in, which is where it sounds kind of like werewolf to me.
Yeah, it's very curious to see what happens. We have played Bang. We played another one, the Three Kingdoms, which is sort of similar.
Right.
And I do like Three Kingdoms a little bit more because of the abilities on the characters.
Legends of the Three Kingdoms? That's the full title, or just Three Kingdoms?
I think it's just...
I'll see if I can find a box art of it.
And I enjoyed it a lot because I also love the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Is definitely a mythology I like. The one problem, which both of them had, and I'm just curious to see if this solves it, in particular with you, no matter what, you seem to get removed, except for that one Bang game, in the first 2 rounds, and then you're just sitting there.
Yeah, player elimination is the rough thing always.
It is, but it just seems like unusually rough to me, and in the sense that because also it seemed since you had to kill early on, you don't have enough time to get information.
Right.
So you're forced if let's say I knew you were the king for that, and I knew there was someone next to me, even if they're my ally or not, and whether I know or not, I'm killing them to get to you.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, it sounds like in this one you can point at anybody.
Right. That might be the solution.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, and as far as I know, this is also Plaid Hat's first game of this type. I can't think of any other game they've done like this, a social deduction style game.
Yeah. No, they can think of.
And all their games are usually super solid.
Yeah, we haven't been disappointed with Plaid Hat, so.
Yeah. So I think, and I like that universe. It's a cool. I mean, it's fairly generic, but it's still fun.
Well, because
style.
the game's good. So.
Yeah. All right, and then one more that this might be the one I'm most excited about in the bunch.
All right, let me guess.
Yeah.
Munchkin Monopoly.
So close. It's Munchkin Yahtzee. No, Portal Games announced it's called...
I feel like you just need to say Portal Games and you're already happy.
Well, wait until you hear the title of it. Detective, a modern crime board game. So, designed by Ignacy and another guy whose name I don't remember, but I think he's more like writing the scenarios and Ignacy's doing the actual design work. But essentially, you're all agents and you're trying to solve a crime, and there's going to be multiple scenarios which you can play as a campaign or standalone. But what makes this really cool and unique is not only are you going to be looking for clues and stuff in the box, there is going to be an online component. So I think they're going to have their own website of some kind that you're going to be able to look up, but also you're free to look anywhere. So the quote that he gave was, you'd be able to search Wikipedia to confirm information or check the history of World War II to verify a witness statement. So the cases are actually going to be about real world things. So no longer are you limited to a book or anything. You are looking everywhere to solve a mystery.
I mean, as we've said probably 100 times, we love the detective game genre. Mm-hmm. And this just seems like the next really big step.
I mean, it sounds like a great innovation for it. I never would have thought.
Not only that, yeah, I mean, looking at, because like I said, it's one of those things that you have to keep an eye on technology. And I believe, I mean, feel free to say I'm wrong, we said this with the apps, we're at the point where someone's going to be near a computer or a smartphone 90% of the time. You know, it's not a luxury item anymore, I feel.
Right.
So I think it's fair to start thinking of games maybe throwing in an app or this stuff to help around. And this seems like the perfect one, because not only I think you mentioned you can look up stuff, which is cool, but let's say you would just happen to be a fan of World War II.
I love that war.
But I mean, like something like that.
Yeah.
How awesome does it feel when you hear someone say that and you're like, hold on a minute, like just from your own knowledge, like the fact that like just your hobby can bring into another one.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. And considering like you mentioned World War II, that's something that tends to be in the board game hobby. Like if you had things like World War II or, I mean, the obvious Lovecraft or something, like someone to say those small things, but that people can pick up on. I think
almost like a trivia aspect to it. Yeah, no, it's pretty awesome. I like the idea a lot, and you know, like all these games, easily expandable.
Yeah, I mean, even if keeping in the ones we played, which are kept in the box, like the Mythos Tales and the Sherlock Holmes. I mean, when we played, there's things like, oh shit, what's the date on the newspaper? And we're like,
yeah,
that makes sense, and we count the days and stuff. Like, so I mean, to open it up so much,
now
it also gives you, for expansion, so to speak, for cases, a lot easier for you to expand because we've had over thousands of years that humans have existed, so you can pull from a lot.
Yeah, it's almost a little intimidating. I'm very excited to see exactly how the mechanisms work in the game.
And just like as we said with the Plaid Hat Portal games,
they're great. We love them. We love the ones that start with P.
It's a good letter.
So all those games are going to be later this year, or at least launching on Kickstarter later this year. You can check our links below for the specific dates when they're available. I also did just want to mention briefly, we don't have a slide for this or anything, but last week we talked about that game Drop Mix from Harmonix, and they streamed some gameplay of it, and I watched it, and it actually looks really, really cool. Some of the stuff that they actually, played some games, I actually got to see how it works, and basically it is, it's the thing that's so cool about it is how seamlessly it adapts to make a mix of whatever different parts you're putting in. So in the video they had a remix with Call Me Maybe's vocals, and then they had Disturbed Down with the Sickness was like the backdrop, and then you could put in like a bass line from something else, and you'd think but like the key actually would change for other cards to match. I know you know the band Girl Talk, right? The one that they do the mashups, like the rap songs.
Oh,
and all
yeah,
this.
yeah.
It's like that. And it seems it's the kind of thing that I feel, even if the game's not that great, I almost just want to have it like at a party, and that would literally be the music you're listening to.
Well, I feel like if you think about Rock Band, their other games, that's almost where I feel like there are two categories. Mm-hmm. There are the people who played it not like, who really expertly, who could play, Fire Through the Flames perfectly.
Right.
And then there's the people who bring it to all the parties.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it, fits that, bring it to all the parties.
This is definitely that. I also think that it will bankrupt me because they did announce the price. The full game with that thing is $100. And the extra playlist packs, which are like 15 cards, are like $15 each. And I'm like,
just give me your wallet now.
All of them. There you go. So, but anyway, that's later this year. But check out that gameplay because it looked really cool. Kickstarters. We have them. You want them. We're going to give them to you. First one, we're going to start with Sigil Powers of War.
Yeah, this looked like sort of a fun board game. It's similar to, we actually talked about a while ago, Barrage Battle we did a little review video for. Mm-hmm. Same kind of, big board moving around. But instead of this, you choose a faction. There are currently 4, and then you can play up to 4 players.
Okay.
They actually have, I think, 3 other ones on there. That maybe either through stretch goals or expansions for later on. So plenty. And then you can choose a warlord, and then they have pre-built decks. And they're all different, so it's not just like everyone has a soldier, a knight. Like, it's the same thing, but just different color. So you actually do different mechanics, and you have little pieces that move around the board, and it looked like sort of this fun, a little bit simpler. You don't need as many, like, build a custom deck, as we said before, but still you get that feeling of this is my team kind of going on.
Yeah.
And I thought that was sort of a fun little style.
I like it. That one goes for $59, which is sounds.
I mean, it's a big game.
Yeah,
this is one of those.
Is the board as big as Barrage Battle?
I did not look up the measurements.
Okay, but at any rate, it'll be.
You don't move cards. You actually have tokens on the cards.
Okay, that sounds cool. So check that one out. Next, Yeti Mountain. Mm-hmm. Now, this is really weird and interesting. So, you'll remember a game that we played at Board Game Geek Con a few years back called Fireball Island.
Oh, yeah.
Which is out of print. It's a game from the 80s, a huge game where
hilarious.
You move your guys around a board and you push fireballs and they can knock you down.
Honestly, it reminded me of those old, like, I mean, they're still around today, but I remember them more being commercial, like, as a kid, early 90s, probably 80s too, of, like, the new castle set, and like you had your toy.
It's like a big, fun, goofy toy. Well, this game, Yeti Mountain, as they say on their page, is inspired by Fireball Island. Ooh. It basically looks exactly like Fireball Island. Instead of like a volcano god, it's a Yeti, and he throws snowballs and stuff down the mountains. But it really looks almost the same, and it only goes for $65. Whereas if you want to get a copy of Fireball Island, you're gonna pay at least $300.
Isn't that $60 just for like a piece of it?
Yeah, and you got to look on eBay. I mean, it's a struggle. So I'm really hoping that this takes off and is as fun as that.
That's the next thing. We hit like Cthulhu, then we hit legacy games.
Yes, 3D ridiculous
toys,
toy games. I like that. So if you've never heard of that game, check it out. But if you have, check out Yeti Mountain because it could be your dream come true for $65. And finally, Defense of the Citadel, not Citadels and not Defense Grid. Mm-hmm. What is it?
Well, actually, this reminds me, it was like a medieval kind of game, but it's actually more like a tower defense game, which I thought was really cool. Because it's pretty much, there's a center reactor core, magical reactor core, and you have to defend it. And then you randomly place a map around the different rooms in the building, and monsters come in. There's no one controlling them. They have their own little movements, and you have a deck that tells you when they spawn, if different events, so you never know how things are going to come around. And then you get different classes. You have race and class. You can combine them in different ways that like either leave a bomb or, jump and kill everything around you, kind of cool abilities. And there are rest periods, so you can be like, all right, you have time to put up barricades and put the bombs and stuff.
Okay.
So I thought it was a cool difference instead of like the descent of the option is we need to run over there and kill that thing. To be more like, here's a central thing, defend it for all like your I guess not tower defense, so it'd also be a horde mode, I guess they call in video games.
Yeah, like wave-based.
Wave-based, yeah. So I thought looked like really fun, sort of miniature, and combining more of a medieval instead of the. I feel like whenever I think wave, usually I think more of the modern shooter kind of.
Mm-hmm. You didn't play Xenoshift yet, right? But
I have not.
It's a deck building game, but it sort of feels like that kind of a thing, wave-based thing. Did you say, is this co-op?
From what I saw, it was.
Okay, yeah.
But
maybe there's different modes.
Yeah.
But it's not like somebody's playing the tower. And
No, that's the thing. No one is playing the bad guys.
Got it.
That's, like I said, the card, which is one of the things I like, because I find it very hard when you have an asymmetrical player game in terms of someone's the mastermind or the others. It's very difficult to see the balancing, probably because also some people get different experiences, and sometimes, depending on if it's like a legacy more game, then the person who's the mastermind only sees that position. Like I mean, you hear all the time with D&D stuff when people want to be the player or the DM, and they're like, need a break. So.
Right. No, that sounds really cool. That sounds cool. So check out Defenseless Citadel at $90. Bigger one.
Lots of miniatures.
I will also just briefly point out somebody in our comments from our last Kickstarter section wanted to know if we had seen Empire of the Void 2. This was Shaolin Manny.
I do not recall that one.
It's from Red Raven Games, I believe, and if I'm getting that wrong, I'll put up the correct one. But it's basically a 4X space game. Everybody's a different planet. And you're going out and meeting alien races and getting resources and waging war. It looks cool. It was super fun. If you're watching this now, there are only a few days left. It goes for $54, but check that one out as well. And then that's all our news. We did play a couple of games last night. Russian Roulette is the one I really want to talk about, but we can also talk about code names if you want.
Yeah, I mean, and we can also, I'll just mention this briefly before.
Sure.
This wasn't the night before, but I played with Mark and we officially finished the Arkham Core, including the 2 standalone scenarios.
The
LCG, and the first cycle for the Lord of the Rings base set, which was really fun because there's the 2 co-op ones, so playing them side by side, you really see the differences. And overall, it was definitely, I mean, they're a lot of fun. I can definitely see why Arkham got its things. And it's just seeing different because you really do see in the end, because with the Arkham one, we sort of finished our character story. They're done. They're very mentally scarred, but they survived.
So but you still use them for the next cycle?
No, I think you can make a whole new deck and stuff. Like you just keep track.
Okay.
As far as that, at least that's what I've taken from it. But that's the thing. The Lord of the Rings one, on the other hand, we sort of like, this is the deck I'm always going to use. It's always these generals. Maybe I'll replace one if something good comes out. So it's sort of an interesting, different change. Also, Golem is a jerk. Gollum.
Gollum?
He pretty much, in one of the scenarios, he pretty much could bite you and kill a character.
That Gollum, that wacky little boy.
But overall, just very fun. I mean, we said it before, finally finished. Now I got to try to find my hands on Dunwich Legacy.
Right. And Lord of the Rings, I'm pretty sure they have the second cycle.
I'm pretty sure, I think Mark actually has everything.
Oh, really?
So we just need to jump into it.
Wow, he's ahead of the game. Or he's at the game. And then, we don't really want to, we played Codenames Undercover.
Right.
The adult version of Codenames. It's basically just Codenames.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
but it's kind of goofy.
I don't know why, because I feel like it's sort of funny because they want to make it mostly adult themes. I almost felt it was harder to come up with clues. Like, I feel like in the other one, because it's almost so spread out, I don't know why, but then I'd be like, I was able to do threes and stuff more. Like,
I think because also, part of it might be because things are often, like everything is sexual, so it's hard to come up with a category that only applies to what you want it to apply to. But yeah, it was, it's good. It worked well enough.
Yeah.
It worked about as well as Codenames, I thought. Maybe not quite there, but if you're doing that kind of a thing, you'll know what you want out of it. And finally, we played Russian Roulette Championship Edition. This was a Kickstarter that I did from Tuesday Night Games, who did 2 Rooms and a Boom, from designer Anthony Birch. I think we talked about it even on the show. It was Kickstarter Pickstarter. Finally got it in, and we played actually 3 rounds of it, which is unusual for us for a new game. It's a quick.
Well, yeah, it's unlike 2 Rooms, which requires 11. We could actually play this one.
Yeah, which was pretty good. We actually had 6. It goes up to 6.
We did a 4 game and a 6 game.
Correct. It's a bluffing luck-based game where you have a deck of cards that simulates a gun. One of the cards is a bullet. But you can also cheat, and then you're wagering how many times you're going to pull the trigger.
You could, through bad luck or other things, get more bullets in your gun.
Yeah, there's powers, so you could do things like, for my next one, I'm going to point my gun at someone else instead of me.
Or point in the air.
Right, so it's very simple, but really it's those action cards that mix things up.
Right.
I mean, clearly, yeah.
The bluffing aspect, I think, there's a lot of just thinking like, all right, like because of it, you could pull your bullet out to hide it, but someone can call you on it. But if you call wrong, you get another bullet. So it's like, did I think Jonathan pulled out? Like,
yeah.
So there's just a lot of fun, like looking at what information's there. How do you know?
We've talked about with coup, I think especially, where sometimes in our groups we tend to be very sheepish about wanting to challenge people because we're afraid, and sometimes that results in people are just cheating rampantly without worrying about it because no one's accusing. It's a tough thing to strike that balance because I'm always like, I'm terrified because I just know I have bad luck and bad judgment. And
I'm terrible at reading people. So that's why for me, I did do the first call out probably because I was just like, you know what, I'm fine with just.
Yeah, it's sometimes you got to do it. It is a very interesting game. The rounds go pretty quick. That's why we did 3 of them. And it is kind of intense. I think our last game was our best because we ended up with like 3 people who all could have won.
And then through like all these weird scenarios.
Yeah, it kept going and stuff. So it was pretty tense because it can come down to literally like, if this next one is a bullet, I'm either dead or I win.
Right.
Depending on what I get. So it's pretty much what I thought it was going to be. I can't think of a better way to simulate Russian roulette without hurting yourself in card game or board game form. It's super simple, but not so dumb that nothing's going on.
Yeah, I did enjoy it a lot, and sort of this fun sort of thinking. Even though I'm bad at bluffing, it's just sort of fun to just be like, I'll take this out and just see if anyone does anything. And just, you actually have to make your hand in the shape of a gun, put it to your head, and just everyone's like 1, 2, 3, draw, and just seeing who killed themselves.
Could be offensive to some people. I don't know. I almost want to say it's like a better pickup than something like Bang. I feel like it's in that same category. There aren't really hidden roles, but it has that same feel to it of the bluffing and the fast pace, obviously shooting each other. So I think if you like that kind of game, this is a really good take on that genre. I don't know how readily available it is, probably at some point from Tuesday Night Games site, but it was Kickstarter. I think that's everything that we had to talk about. I'm surprised that we got through it all. There was some other stuff that we didn't cover, like they announced a new Harry Potter expansion for the deck building game.
The Cool Mini or Not got Eric Lang.
Right, Eric Lang is now officially working as their head of design, something like that. So congratulations, because I know you watch this podcast every week, sir. And yeah, lots of good stuff coming up. It's March. Hope you're having a good March. If you want to leave a comment on this video, we will read it. There were some comments, some extra ones I didn't do today, just because we had a bunch of stuff going on, but we'll do a big comment section next week. Leave them right here in this video or email us at rollforcrit@gmail.com.
Of course, you can reach us at rollforcrit on Twitter, at rollforcrit, and of course we're also on Instagram and Facebook. We'll take it all and read it all.
Absolutely, or just like and subscribe to this video right here to get updates from our channel, and go to our website, rollforcrit.com, where we sell games including Lord of the Rings and Arkham Horror LCG packs. And
plenty
sets.
of stuff from Cool Stuff.
Yep, Cool Mini or Not. We'll cut that out. We're going to bleep that. And so much more updates on our news and more videos and reviews like this one. Please look at all that. It's really, really good. We love you.
Until then, I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes, and this has been Roll for Crit. Hey!